how to start a remote 100K plus tech sales career in 38 days. And what I'm going to be sharing today is 3 simple steps to do this. Now, let's get something straight. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it's easy, right? So I'm going to make this as simple as possible, but this process is hard. Right off the gate, I just need to let you guys know getting into tech sales is really hard. I saw a lot of zeros in the chat for I've not put any apps out yet, but I've also seen people in the chat like 500 plus applications. So if you've been applying, you know this is hard. But guess what? That's how being in sales is. It's hard. It's high highs, low lows. And Simon, you nailed it, man. If it's easy, then it's not for you. If you want to be in sales because it's easy and you want to work from home and make over 100K and sit on the couch, this ain't the career path, y'all. There is flexibility. There is a lot of money to make, but getting in this entry level role, it's hard. But the beauty of life is we get to choose our hard. So the hard you're in right now, probably not as hard as getting into tech sales, and we're going to break that down. Now, look, y'all, we are going to go for a while in this, but I've got a bonus at the end. Go ahead and hit bonus in the chat if you're going to stick around till the end. Type bonus in for me. And there's Steve Harvey with his perfect teeth and his hilarious mannerisms. All right. So you're probably here because you heard tech sales pays a lot of money. There are a few ways to make a lot of money in life. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be a business owner, or you can be in sales. There's probably a few others I'm missing. You get the point. Sales is like the best way in a career path to go make a lot of money. There are people consistently making over 500 grand a year in tech sales, and it's not uncommon. 300 to 500 is about where you are when you're in a mature sales career, and that's not uncommon, like I said. I worked with my very first account executive at my first company. That dude cleared $1 million as my account executive. And he's been in the industry like 11 years, but cleared $1 million. So you can make some serious money in tech sales. It's not a joke. But like anything in life, it's a bell curve. There are people who don't make it. There are people who are kind of in the average. They're in the middle. Then you have the people making over $1 million a year. So I'm also not going to sit here and act like you're going to go make $1 million every year. It takes a lot of hard work, takes a lot of time to get there. But this is a path where you can actually achieve that kind of success. It lets you work from home. Go ahead and drop remote in the chat if you are wanting a remote job. Remote job, drop remote in the chat. If you want hybrid or in person, just go ahead and say hybrid for me. Most people want remote. I'm seeing them roll in. This is a legitimate career path where you can work from home. I'm in my home office right now. I have not been to a corporate office since 2020, and I will never have to go back to a corporate office again, even if I were to get back into the W-2 gig. So you can genuinely work from home. I see some hybrids. Hybrid is great, y'all. There are pros and cons to being remote versus being hybrid. Let me touch on that super quick. The pro to being hybrid is you're going to be forced to be exposed to learn a lot more, right? Because when you're home alone, you have to intentionally plug in to other people to learn and to be exposed. But when you're hybrid and you're in office, you're just having organic moments, natural moments to rub up on people and learn and overhear stuff. But obviously the pros to being remote is your home, which is amazing. Third reason, it is a stable career track with incredible growth and opportunity. So you want to break in and get hired. Look, there are jobs out there you can make 6 figures plus from home. A lot of you have heard of like being a closer, being a setter, like these high ticket sales things. Like that's a path. You could do Amazon FBA. There's so many ways you can make money from home, but they're not legit careers. This is where tech sales is kind of a unicorn in that it is a true W-2 with career development, career growth, benefits, and resources and leaders and all of it. It's fun. So if you're here, though, there's probably a good chance that you feel intimidated by applying for tech sales jobs. If you feel intimidated, go ahead and write INT in the chat, feel intimidated by applying to jobs. Or if you've been applying, you're exhausted. If you're tired, go ahead and put EX in the chat. Intimidated, INT, exhausted, EX. You're exhausted because you're putting in all this work, you're hearing nothing back. And some of you are probably frustrated. I get that. It is very frustrating being on a job search when you're not getting any feedback. So if you're frustrated, just give me a big capital F. I'm frustrated. Now, hopefully, none of us are here defeated. But if we are, that's okay. I get that too. Some of you might be on the border of feeling defeated. You might be like, I don't know if this is going to happen for me. I've tried this for so long. I just keep hitting dead end after dead end. I don't think this path is going to work for me. I want to encourage you to not give up, because there's a whole new way of approaching your job search that you probably haven't fully implemented. And it's not your fault. It's just that no one really talks about this. And so I want to go ahead and break this down with you guys today, because what you want is you want to land interviews at great companies. You want to feel confident while you're interviewing, and you want to land a solid job with great pay and strong culture. This is what we all want here, right? Like, this is the dream. And to do that, you need to be different, because the strategy you've been putting into place, or all of the overthinking for those that haven't started to apply, it's not going to get you anywhere. You need a reliable process. You need a game plan for your job search that helps you cut through the noise. Now, I started a business called Sword. There's a few reasons why I named it Sword, but one of them was I want to help people cut through the noise. Sword. That's what we're going to be covering today. And there is the stud himself, Jim Halpert. Yes, let's go. But before we dive in, Houston, we have a problem. The job market is brutal. Y'all know this. When you go on LinkedIn, you look at those jobs, you see 300 to 1,000 plus applicants per job, and it happens fast. It's almost like 2 hours of a job post is live. There's thousands of applications. It's nuts out there. And these job descriptions are requiring 2+ years of experience and or college degrees. So even when you find a job to apply to that's not swarmed and infested, then you look at the requirements and you're like, shoot, I've never been an SDR. I don't even qualify. They're not even going to look at me. Limiting belief, by the way. We're going to get to that. But SDRs with proven experience are competing against you for the same roles. The tech industry is very interesting, where it is a very stable industry. But because it's tech and it's VC and it's startups, the actual companies aren't always super stable, because they're new. They're trying to figure it out. Technology's so evolving and emerging. So when people ask me if tech sales is stable, I'll hit that question in a second, Simon. That's a good one. And by the way, if I miss your chats, y'all, I'm going to open the chat window here. There we go. Now I can see them. What was I saying? The industry is stable because tech is always evolving and growing. But companies do fail sometimes. They get funding, they're not able to find product market fit, and they have to restructure and move around. That happens. And then there's super stable companies out there like a Salesforce that's never going to go away ever, right? Simon, your question was, is it worse this year? So 2020 was the weirdest year for tech sales, because a bunch of companies got a bunch of money, and then it all went away, and then there were a bunch of layoffs. And 2020 to 2022 was just brutal for tech sales. It was so weird. But for those who hung on for dear life and we got through it, things have really started to stabilize since probably mid 2024 up through now. There will always be one company getting layoffs in tech sales. You'll always see that. That's just part of how VC funding works, essentially. But the thing is that the industry is stable. So if you have experience, if you can break in and your company falls apart, cool. You can just go to another company because you're qualified, you're experienced. But the market's brutal right now. There are hundreds of applicants per roles out there. I'll try to zoom in here. Guys, this is one of my buddies, Elijah Awoke. He's a hiring manager. He had 2,000 applicants for a role. But little preview here, only 15 contacted him through email. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So in a sea of a ton of applicants, how the heck do you stand out? We're going to break that down. So I want to give you guys an inside look, because you all are outsiders. You've never been hiring managers. You've never hired an SDR. You've never run a hiring cycle. I've done this hundreds of times. And so I want to give you my brain as a hiring manager, all my experience, to help you come into the inside of how I think. And then you can start to reorient your process around what I'm looking for, rather than you guessing what I'm looking for. So my experience as a hiring manager, the last job I posted, I'll zoom in here. This was my last job I posted as a hiring manager, SDR leader. I got 387 applicants. Out of those 387 applicants, only 15 got to meet with my recruiter. That's 4% of people landed an interview. 5 of those people got to meet me, 1%. And then we sent 2 to the leadership team. They hired 1, which is 0.1%. So, sobering thought, you have a 0.1% chance of breaking into tech sales. That's the reality. But if you know what you're doing, if you can implement doing the job to getting the job, you will far outpace all of these people who are just putting a resume in, and you will be in interviews, and then you'll learn how to crush these interviews. So what do you need to do? Because right now it kind of looks like we're screwed. 0.1% chance. Yay. Love those odds. Lauren, I just saw your question there. Do you use AI screening? I'm going to get into that. That's a great question. So we need to take matters into our own hands. You need to learn how to do the job to get the job. And that's exactly what I teach. Do the job to get the job is SWORD's methodology. We're not going to play the resume game. We're going to get in direct contact with hiring managers, and we're going to demonstrate competence through taking action, meaning those experience gaps we have, we're going to overcome those by doing the job to get the job, to prove to them we can do the job if they hire us. All right, let's move on. So my goals for this workshop, very simple. I want to teach you what to do and what not to do with your resume and LinkedIn profile. I want to show you how to find good jobs to apply to, equip you with the tools you need to land interviews, and then lastly, educate you on how to crush interviews and get offers. Does that all sound good? Are we all in? We're good? All right, this is going to be a lot. So again, steak dinner. When you have a steak dinner, you just got to go one bite at a time and stay locked in. So little background, I think a lot of you probably know me through the school group and stuff, but I've been an SDR leader for 5 years. I've hired and trained over 100 SDRs. And more recently, I've been full-time career coaching, and I've placed over 200 people in tech sales roles. So this is my story, y'all. It wasn't always like this. That is actually a real mugshot from 2016. This was 9 years ago. I was a 5-year drug addict. I dropped out of college twice, and I actually wound up in a jail cell. So 2016, almost 9 years ago, I made $24,000 as a drug addict. That was like my W-2. Then that night, actually, Jesus met me in that jail cell. I gave my life to Jesus, and he changed everything. And just 4 years later, my life completely transformed. I got married to my amazing wife. I graduated college, which can be a scam. I don't know. Is that debatable? I don't know. We'll see. And I became an entry-level SDR. I got a great SDR gig at a tech sales company, and my W-2 was slated to be $75K that first year, but I actually made $99K. So if you're going into the job search thinking like, oh no, they're only going to pay me $80K, that's called on-target earnings. That means if you're on target at 100%, you'll make $80K. But there's nothing saying you can't go above target, and that's what we were able to do in my first gig there. And the reason I share this, y'all, is because I want you to see that wherever you come from, whatever your background is, you can do this if you're willing to do 2 things. 1, work your freaking butt off. And 2, trust that God has amazing plans for your life. That's it. Because in 2016 in that jail cell, guys, I thought my life was over. I thought I was literally going to just be in jail for the rest of my life. But God had a better plan. He changed it all, put me in contact with the right people, started getting mentorship, started having people pour into me, and community came around me, and my life changed. And so in 2023, we had our first kid. We're actually having our baby girl in 6 weeks, so I'm super pumped, baby number 2. And yeah, at that point, I had raised up through sales leadership and cleared 194K on my W-2 in 2023. So what I did throughout my career is I was informally helping people out getting into tech sales. I would have like a friend hit me up like, yo, Jack, can you help me get into tech sales? Actually, these 4 guys right here, they're all friends in real life. And they all hit me up like, yo, can you help me get in? Because you're a hiring manager, you know how this works. So over time, I just started to assemble a guide of like, yo, step by step, this is what you need to do. Fast forward, Since then, we've helped over 200 people get into tech sales. And these people come from wildly different backgrounds. Like I said, there's a couple felonies on this gallery view here. There's people who were Uber drivers, teachers, never graduated college, landscaping company. And then, of course, you have the more typical backgrounds, door-to-door, car sales, insurance sales, whatever it is, bartender. Wherever you come from, you can get into tech sales. What I need you to type in the chat, though, is believe, because this isn't just about getting a job. Go ahead and drop believe in the chat. This is about you believing that there is more for your life and you can do it with hard work. And you're not just magically going to get a job in tech sales, because if that were true, you would have a job in tech sales. You need to become someone else through this process. And I always warn my clients when they sign up to work with me, this is going to be really hard. Your life is going to change. But just like the gym, your life doesn't change through chilling and through doing the same thing. The gym literally rips your muscles apart and it hurts and you're sore, but you're so freaking proud that you did that workout. And those workouts compound, and a week goes by, 2 weeks, a month, and before you know it, you're stronger than you've ever been. This is how getting into tech sales is. It's hard. So what I do with my clients now, right now, 86K on average is what we're landing people. It's a bell curve. I've got people that have landed 100K plus jobs and down to like 70-ish K. And we're doing it in 38 days on average. So for those of you who have been applying for a long time, thank you for not giving up. And for those of you who are brand new to tech sales, I need you to understand that yes, it's scary. Yes, you're intimidated, but I want to equip you with everything you need to go be confident about your job search. So I'm going to show you how to set this up live in just around 45 minutes. We'll see. And Jonathan, great question. So that's OTE, on target earnings. That's at 86K on target across 200 plus clients is the average. So there's 3 steps to doing the job to get the job. The first thing is we've got to set up our resume and our LinkedIn. Your profile matters because how you appear is your first impression. So we're going to get into that. Job board and outbound setup. How do you find good jobs and how do you actually land interviews doing outbound? Then third is how do you prepare for those interviews? So a lot of this is pulled from my free guide that I have on YouTube. So again, I dropped that school link in the chat. I'll drop it one more time if anyone needs it. You can join that for free. A lot of this is going to be in that guide, but I've gone actually way deeper in this slideshow right here. So this is stuff that I've never shared before. It's going to be fun. Step 1, resume prep. Silly robots, resumes are for humans. What am I talking about? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So y'all remember the screenshot I showed you. I got 378 applicants, or 387 for that role. What that actually looks like for me as a hiring manager is we have these ATS systems, applicant tracking system. And this is software where whenever you apply to that job on LinkedIn, it shows up in here. And I get to see this funnel basically of all the applicants. So what happens with the current market is so many people flood the ATS. It's just way too much for a recruiter or a manager to go through. So my last experience as a manager was we were getting tons of applications. We had one recruiter at the company and he was busy filling a VP of sales role and a CRO role. Do you think he's going to be spending any time on an SDR entry-level role? No, he has way bigger fish to fry for the company. So he said, Jack, it's on you. You've got to go find your SDRs. Well, I have like 8 to 10 reps, average team size that I'm managing, coaching. I have my own manager stuff to do. I've got my own life. I don't have time to go through 387 applicants, right? So my best strategy I can take as a manager is to let the best people get my attention by doing the job to get the job. I'm going to let y'all come to me. So when you're playing the resume game, you're just one more face in a stack of resumes. You're not doing yourself any favors there. So what happened is AI got smart and recruiters got smart and said, hey, I'm going to have AI do this for me. I'm going to have them find good candidates for me and good resumes and all that. So now you start to hear about like, oh, you have to optimize your resume for keywords and stuff like that. Please don't waste your time doing that, because we need to get in touch with humans. We're not trying to get approval from a robot on why we should work at a company. We're not playing the resume game. Don't pay a resume writer. Don't do that stuff. Just learn how to do the job to get the job. Now, of course, you do have to submit a resume, but if your resume looks like this, we're in trouble. Because guess what every other person's resume looks like? This. If your resume looks like this, no shame. I love you. You just don't know any better. But go ahead and say this. If your resume looks like this, say this in the chat. I want to see this. Let's see. Yep. Yep. Come on, expose yourself. It's okay. There's no shame. You're going to leave with a different resume. Yep. And guys, I don't blame you. Like, you were told to do this. This is what HR people say to do, but it's because you're playing their game. We don't want to play their game. We want to play a different game altogether. So screw the resume game. We are going robot killer on this, and we're not playing with robots. We are going to optimize for humans, not robots. So what do you see already that's different about my resume? This is my template that I use with my clients. We have a few different templates. This is the main one. You see a photo on it. Oh my goodness, call the HR police. You're not allowed to have a photo on your resume. I don't freaking care, because my job is to get your attention. And if you're going through a stack of resumes like this, newspaper, 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 and then this thing pops up, you're a human being who probably watches TikTok. Your eyes are going to stop and you're going to pay attention to my resume for at least a second. So I just bought 1 second from you. Now, the national stat on average resume review time when a recruiter looks at your resume is 2 to 7 seconds. You have 2 to 7 seconds to capture someone's attention. And if they're going through a stack of hundreds of resumes like this, good luck, buddy, especially if you don't have former experience. It's not happening. So we are going to play a completely different game. So I've got my headshot on here. Y'all need your headshots on your resumes, because you need to build an emotional connection right away with this person. Otherwise, you are literally one more resume. But if your face is on there, you immediately command humanity, you command trust, and you command respect, because they see, when you see a face as a human, it's just biologically wired, we pay attention. Now, the second thing here is color. I'd like to put color on my resume. You can use whatever color you want, but again, I want mine to look different. One more thing, no 2-page resumes. If your resume is over 2 pages, you need to shrink it down. We do not look at 2 pages. Again, for all the reasons I mentioned, like, you think I'm going to look at 2 pages of a resume in this view here? No, it's not going to happen. So don't do a 2-page resume, everything on 1 page. This is kind of a good template or outline you can use. And again, this is in my school community. I'll drop that link one more time. There is a whole resume module in there of how to set your resume up similar to this one. All right. So the second thing we're going to do is we need to speak their language. Now, this is one of my real clients who got a job. He was a bartender, and we got him into sales. So you can see right there, craft bartender. He had a little bit of like sales internship experience, and then he had construction experience. We have to use sales lingo on our resume. So example of this, bartender. Bartender is not inherently a sales role. Like it's not like you're an alcohol sales representative. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a bartender, but you did sell something, right? And so using AI, using ChatGPT, you can do a simple prompt that says, hey, ChatGPT, here's my resume. I'm applying for a sales development representative role. Can you please salesify my resume to make metrics and percentages and dollar signs that fit what hiring managers will be looking for? You can do something like that, and you will get responses like this. Top 10% revenue generator, averaging 5K in upsells a week. When you speak sales language, you're speaking my language as a hiring manager. What is sales language? Percentages, dollar signs, and numbers. So when I do look at a resume, I want to see, 10, 5, 50, 100, dollar signs, 100, 150. That all looks really good to me. I'm only looking at this for a few seconds. You are metric oriented. Good. Now, if you are in a job that has nothing to do with sales, you still have KPIs. You still have things you need to deliver on. Whatever job you're in, you're not there for free. I promise you that. You're either responsible for helping create new revenue or retaining revenue. Even like this, y'all. Imagine you're a custodian or a janitor. You're responsible for upkeeping a commercial property. Are you generating money for the business? No. But are you helping retain money for the business? Yes. Because you're upkeeping a facility that's worth $5 million, and you have clientele, from, executive banks or whatever coming in. Like, you need to think about your role from the perspective of how do you add value to your company? Because you're not there for free. Pizza delivery. I had a client who was a Papa John's delivery guy. We literally broke it down to like, cool. So one of your KPIs is delivery times. How did you do with your delivery times? Average delivery time. What was your delivery success rate? 99%. Great. Let's throw that in there. What was the average amount of pizza you moved a night in terms of dollars? Oh, like $2,000 of pizza. Cool. So move $2,000 of product every night. So there's ways to think about your experience from the lens of what I care about. Percentages, dollar signs, numbers. Okay. Last one is highlighting any area you are above average. So Jonah's a current client actually. And what I have on my resume here is a leadership and awards section. Now you can relabel this. You can say like achievements, accolades, honors, whatever you want. But anywhere you were above and beyond in life, I want to know about. Even if it's like Boy Scouts, like I want to know that. I want to know that you're not just an average Joe who's sitting back on your couch playing video games while everyone else is out there trying to invest and grow and learn. So anything you've done that's above and beyond, whether that's a sports team, whether that's like you led a class project, whether that's music or language, I want to know that. This is your chance to flex and show me that you're not just an average person who just is going through life floating. You're someone who's very involved and you're growing and you're learning. All right. So those are the main keys for the resume there. We'll keep this moving. Your resume does not even matter though. Let's remember that. Keep that in perspective because we're not playing this game. We're not doing that, right? You do need a resume. All this is important, but grand scheme, it doesn't matter. We are going to take control of your job search by doing the job to get the job. Don't rely on resumes. More on that in a minute. Now, question, yeah, for us older folks, how many positions or years do you recommend to present? In this format, you're realistically only going to get about 3 on there. So up to you if you want to highlight the top 3 you have in the time that you've had those roles chronologically, or if you want to highlight the most sales-oriented roles. I just wouldn't go back like too far and say like, oh, when I was 12, I delivered pizzas, like that kind of thing. Like stay away from that, right? We want to keep this professional. But you're only going to have room for like 2 or 3 experiences on here. So be picky about what you highlight for sure. Good question. All right, keep it moving. So step 1, LinkedIn prep. We've got to look the part. As y'all know, or maybe don't know, sales, especially software sales, is all done online. LinkedIn is where everyone lives. Who remembers the Twitter egg? Drop egg in the chat if you remembered the Twitter egg. It was kind of like a burn. It was like a diss, like, yo, you friggin' Twitter egg. It just means you're like a rando. Like, who are you? So this poor Biff Cantrell, I don't know who this guy is. I bless him, but yeah, I don't know. He's a Twitter egg. We don't know who he is. Well, LinkedIn has the same thing, and this is what it looks like. I don't know who Simon Santiago is. I'm sure he's a great guy, but this is what a Twitter egg profile looks like for LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, you need to create one. And if your LinkedIn looks like this, you need to fix this because this looks like you're a freaking ghost or something. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're a real human being or not. So what is LinkedIn supposed to look like? Let me give you a real example here. Let me pop this open. Share screen. All right. Okay, cool. So this is Ryan. He was one of my clients. And this is a perfect example of what a really good LinkedIn profile looks like. So first of all, wherever you're from, just find like a scenic background. Like, I don't know, this is Arkansas, I guess. He found like a pretty background from Arkansas. So wherever you're from, just get like a scenic, outdoor, make it look nice as your kind of banner photo behind you. It's just going to add some color and some humanity to your profile. Headshot. Headshot is key, y'all. You need a good headshot. I've seen so many bad headshots where I'm like, I'd like no judgment, but like I wouldn't want to talk to you. You just don't seem like you're clean and squared away. Your headshots matter. So all you need to do is pull out an iPhone camera, have a friend or a family member take you outside, get the iPhone portrait mode, whatever, get a nice photo, drop it in here. If you want Canva, I think you can do free background removal on Canva, and you can do something like Ryan here, just a white background. Please, for the love of the Lord, have a good photo because it says everything about you. All right. Your headline. Headline needs to be a mix of personal, professional. What I love to do is show where you're coming from. So even if you're coming from, I think someone said they're like a document writer or something earlier. You should write something like that where you're going where you are to SDR. And this little arrow icon is pretty easy to Google. You just arrow icon right. You can find it on Google, copy paste it. And you should show like where you are and where you want to get to. Because if I'm a recruiter or if I'm a manager and I looked at your profile, I would want to see what's your goal? Like, who are you? And now at a glance, I can see, wow, Ryan's really dialed in on becoming an SDR. So put stuff that matters to you. Family's good. Values are good. Fisherman. I had one of my clients do crafting queen. She was really into crafting. Guitar, gym, like swimmer, hiker, find me on the trails, like whatever that tells a little bit about who you are at a glance. I want to see that. Next thing, followers. Please start connecting with people. If you have like 3 connections, you kind of look like that suspect profile we saw earlier, and you don't look real. So even in this group, y'all, like start connecting with each other, right? Like drop your LinkedIn profiles in the chat if you want. I don't know, but start to get some connections here because you don't want to look like you don't know anyone. Moving on, the about section. The about section, make it short and sweet. Very simple. First line of your about section, professional. What are you trying to do? What's your background? And what do you want to do related to tech sales? Then I instruct my clients to do 3 values that matter to them because that manager is going to get a sense of who you are, what you care about, and it just looks very human. And then lastly, like what are you personally into in your free time? Something personal so that I get a sense of what you're like. The don'ts I see when I look at about profiles is one, people just say like, I want to get into tech sales. It's like, cool, I know nothing about you. Or they're very wordy and I'm just never going to read a whole about section like that. I have TikTok brain. We all have TikTok brain. You got to remember that as you're setting all this stuff up. All right, last thing, your LinkedIn experience section should be identical to what you have on your resume, okay? So if you look at like the bullet points here, all of this stuff is exactly the same that's on his resume. Make sure the dates line up, make sure the titles are the same, all of that fun stuff, make sure it all matches. All right, so that is an example of a clean LinkedIn profile. Let me come back to the slides. Cool, and I see some LinkedIn profiles in the chat. That's awesome, y'all. Yeah, go ahead and track your LinkedIn profiles down and paste your link in there. Start connecting with each other. And yeah, let's start building those connections out. Open to work. If you've ever been told to put open to work on your profile, go ahead and type OTW in the chat. Open to work, OTW. OTW, there it is from Sam, OTW, okay. All right, OTW, yep. So Simon, you nailed it, right. So guys, I didn't make this up, so please don't take offense to it, but when you have an open to work banner on your profile like this, you just look desperate. And again, I say this out of love, I care about you. It's just a psychological thing where it's like, oh, like you're not in demand. Like you need something. And then we're just resistant. We're like, why do you need something? Like, open to work. It also comes with an implication that you're waiting for people to come to you, which is not the message we want to send getting into sales. You want to look very secure. You don't need anything from anyone. You don't have open to work on your profile. You're not waiting for opportunities to come to you. No, you're secure in who you are and what you're doing. So get rid of open to work. Now, there is a way to turn on open to work internally where recruiters only will see your open to work banner. So go into your settings. You can Google this too, but go into your LinkedIn settings where you set up open to work and you can switch it to recruiters only. I would recommend you do this because then externally you look normal. You don't have the banner, but internally people with recruiter profiles will see that you are open to work. And we do get DMs from time to time where people are asking for Hey, are you interested in this job? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, that was LinkedIn and resume. Where we go next is job board setup. Applying to jobs is a really weird blend of quantity and quality. It's a numbers game, but we have to do the numbers game right. First thing I'm going to say though, dream companies are dumb. If you have a dream company, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to get that job, especially if you don't have experience. So let go of the dream. These are like a bunch of dream companies everyone wants to work at. Let go of the dream. That doesn't mean don't apply and don't go for it. But what I see people do is they wait like 6 to 12 months for an interview with a company. And it's like, dude, you just wasted so much time, where if you just took a different SDR job, maybe a company you've never heard of before, imagine where you would have been if you took that 9 months ago. You're about to promote forward. Who cares about that other company? So all of these are some of my clients here, and these are a bunch of records that they're breaking. This guy got a hat trick in his first week, blah, blah, blah. The point is, these are companies that I had never heard of before. I'd never heard of these SaaS companies, and I've been in the industry for 5 years. So who are you to think that you're going to like stroll into your dream company and just get whatever job you want? Like, I'm sorry, it's just unrealistic. And I want to pop that bubble for you. Now, that to say, you can be picky once you have the resume experience. Once you have demonstrated experience, once you've been an SDR, once you've got numbers to show for it, once you've shown demonstrated performance, cool, now go get the dream job. But when you're coming in for the first time, don't be picky. This is 1000% a numbers game. All right, startups versus established companies. So if you are wanting to work at a startup, go ahead and type ST in the chat. If you are wanting to work for an established company, drop EST. ST for startup, EST for established. And we're going to shine some light on the differences. So pros and cons. At a startup, the main con you're going to have is there's not much internal support. And this is because in a startup, the team is so lean, so thin, everyone's wearing 10 different hats. There's not like a very structured, systematic way to get support and resources and coaching. But the biggest plus of a startup is there's huge growth potential, because that team, as soon as it hits it, they're going to take off. They're going to be like, yo, we need AEs now. You've been a good SDR for like 6 months. You want to learn how to be an AE. Let's rock and roll. So that's the biggest difference, pro con with a startup. Now, established companies, the biggest con is that your career progression is going to be slower. It'll be more certain, but it will be slower. And this is because they know what's required and they know what work you need to do before they'll promote you. So your process to get promoted is very clear. It's very regimented and very metric based, but you are going to have to wait your turn. The pro of an established company is there's a lot of training, a lot of support. So really what this comes down to is if you're someone who thrives in chaos and you thrive in uncertainty and you're okay with wearing a bunch of hats and being flexible, then I would go for a startup. Sometimes the pay is better because they want to hire good people, especially as they're starting. But if you're someone who knows you need a lot of coaching, which is not a bad thing, you just need to be self-aware that you need a lot of structure and a lot of support, I would aim for a more established company. Now, this is a spectrum, right? There's going to be extremes on both sides. There are companies who are kind of happy medium, where they're young enough that they're growing, but they're also established enough where they do have some frameworks of success. Okay, take RepView and Glassdoor with a grain of salt. RepView, who knows what RepView is? Go ahead and drop RepView in the chat. RepView, or you can just say rep if you want. Yep. Okay, so some of us are pretty familiar with RepView. And then Glassdoor is like the older version of RepView. Take it with a fat grain of salt, because who are the two kinds of people that leave reviews? The really happy people and the really pissed off people. And looking at RepView, which is a good resource, I wouldn't stake my application process on it though, because these are actually the 4 companies I worked at. And RepView's telling me that Elastic was an 83 on the scale. Yo, Elastic was the best company I've ever worked for, hands down. That should be a 93 at least. Class, it was not a 79. It was more like an 89. It was a really good place. Clearbit, one of the best freaking companies I've ever worked for. Definitely not a 79. I don't know who the heck is complaining on here, but they need to shut up. It was a great company. And I've no dog in this fight, y'all. I don't even work for any of these places. I don't care. And then fourth, my last company I was at, it was not a 71. It wasn't that bad. It was more like an 81. There was stuff that could be better, but all of these are off by about a margin of 10. So back to that note of don't be picky. Don't be picky using these sites like, oh, I'm not going to apply there. It's not an 83. It's like, okay, well, you don't know who's on these sites complaining about what. You don't know what happened. The best place to learn about culture and whether these companies are good or not is going to be while you're interviewing, because you're going to get a sense for the team and your manager and all of that. And trust me, y'all, some of you might even have been through this. You know when they're not going to be a good manager. Like, they just don't care. They're toxic. You can tell. The other good place, though, to find out is while you're interviewing for companies, reach out to the SDRs over there. Reach out to the AEs. Give them a call, because they'll tell you. I've literally had people say, run, don't apply here. You don't want to work here. They will tell you. Most people say, this place is great. Let me know how I can help you. And that gives you the true sense of what the culture is like. Manuel, you asked about, what about people who have been SDRs in other industries? Is the transition a little easier? Yes and no. If you have sales experience, your transition into tech sales will be easier. 1000% it will be easier than someone without sales experience. By the way, for those that don't have sales experience, not impossible at all. So please don't mishear that. But sales experience will be easier. At the same time, tech is very snooty. We think that we're so cool and we're so good. And if you've never sold SaaS, well, you don't know how to sell. That's like the entitlement we have, that we think we're so cool. It's almost like maybe being at an Ivy League school, like, oh, you didn't go to Harvard, I can't talk to you. And it's like, shut up. Like, you haven't lived the life I've lived. So that being said, it's yes and no, it's easier. But if you don't have SaaS experience, everyone's going to want you to start at the bottom, which is the SDR role. Opinion about headhunter recruiters. Lauren, save that question, because I'm going to try to open up some time at the end for questions. So keep that one for me at the end. We'll come back to that. Where are the best job boards? There's quite a few out there. If you're only using LinkedIn, you're missing out. So I'll give you some examples. Like, I'm trying to zoom in here. Nooks AI, they have a nice remote job board. So nooks.ai. Hiring Cafe. Hiring Cafe is a great job board that's very active. Y Combinator, especially if you want to work at a startup, Y Combinator is your best job board out there, because Y Combinator is basically like a think tank, a venture fund for startups, and they're always hiring and promoting roles. Now, LinkedIn, I want to show you guys how to use LinkedIn effectively. So let me jump over to the jobs tab, share this tab instead. Yeah, Simon, you're asking about LinkedIn being strange. On the mobile app, it has changed. So if you're trying to apply for jobs on the mobile app, you won't be able to find that remote filter, which is silly. On PC, okay, I don't know about that, but I'll show you right now. I mean, as far as I know, everything's working as it should. So when you go on LinkedIn, let me go to my home screen, come up here to jobs, click jobs, and we'll come up to the search bar. Let's do SDR, right? United States, or pick whatever country. And then you'll start to filter stuff down. So if you want remote, go ahead and hit remote, 707 results. If you want hybrid, whatever. So this is where we'll start, remote jobs, right? But the really important filter to use is date posted. And you want to do past 24 hours, because the biggest factor of whether or not you're going to land an interview is speed to lead. When we say speed to lead, we're talking about how quickly do you get to that recruiter, that manager, before everyone else gets to them. If you are applying to jobs that are 3, 5, 7 days old, buddy, you've got a long line ahead of you of probably 100+ people that are trying to get that interview too. You're too late. So what you should do is set up searches like this. You can do the alerts as well up here if you want to, and save these searches and check on them every morning. And so in this case, what I can do is actually save the URL. So I'm going to reshare here and show you my URL real fast. Entire screen. You guys are going to get a little bit of, oh, here we go, window. Bingo. Okay. So you guys can see my URL bar at the top. this URL bar saves. So you can copy this link here and wait, do you guys see LinkedIn? Just want to make sure you're looking at LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay, good. So, oh, but it's not showing my URL bar. Hold on. Let me reshare. There we go. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit inception-y because you see all of you over here. But if you look on the right side of my screen over here, you can see the URL bar at the top. All I do is copy this link here. So let me go ahead and hit refresh. SDR, United States, past 24 hours, remote is checked. Copy this link. If I paste this link, it's going to open up that same exact job search. So what you should do is you should have one for SDR. You should have one for BDR. Boom. Save this role, this link here. You should have one for ISR, inside sales rep. You should spell out sales development representative and have another link. So you should have all these links set up so that you can just easily click every morning into each one, find the jobs you want to apply to, and go forward. So yeah, Sam, it does matter. SDR versus sales development. There will be crossover, like you'll notice if I type in SDR, even here, sales development representative, the first one is founding SDR. There's crossover, but make sure you set up the individual searches there. Okay, let me fix the share. We'll come back to normalcy. Window, boom. All right, so that's how you work the job boards. Now, the next thing, the most important thing is doing the job to get the job, okay? So today's job market, we can't shake hands. Now, when I was growing up, when I was getting my first few jobs, 13, 15, 16, I would actually go into whatever location I wanted the job at and shake a hand. No one else did that. They were calling, they were emailing. I always got the job. Being in a virtual kind of industry environment, we can't go in and shake hands. Now, for those of you who said hybrid, you should go in and shake hands. What I mean is if you're applying for hybrid jobs, put on your suit, put on your dress, print out your CV letters. I would use cardstock to print out your resume. Get a nice briefcase on Amazon, $20. Go into the office unannounced with confidence and say, hey, I saw you guys were hiring for the open SDR role and I went ahead and applied and I wanted to come in and introduce myself and put a face to a name. Is the hiring team around? Can I meet the hiring manager? Y'all, if you go do that and you shake a hand, you are way ahead of the other candidates. Now, for those of you who are remote with that preference, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to have to do it in a remote way, which is doing the job to get the job. That helps us put a face to a name. It helps us cut through the noise. And it actually helps you overcome that imposter syndrome of, can I do this? Because if you actually learn how to do the job, you're doing the job like an SDR would, you're building confidence in yourself that you can actually go do this thing. So how do we do this? Like, what does this mean? Well, first off, there's free sequencing platforms. So Apollo, Lemlist, they have free trials you can spin up, and that'll help you find data. What data am I talking about? I'm talking about phone numbers, emails. That's how we're going to reach out to these hiring managers. And the way a sequence works is it's a step-by-step, multi-channel, basically like flow that you follow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go find people that we need to get in touch with to land interviews. We're going to put them into our sequence through Lemlist, through Apollo. By the way, they both have phenomenal training videos, and they'll help you get started with sequences. They're very easy. And you're going to do multi-channel outreach, LinkedIn, emails, texts, calls, videos, and voice memos. Okay. You don't need to track the sequences on a CRM. Neil was asking that. Apollo itself, Lemlist itself can act like a CRM. So you don't need to get that detailed with it. Just get in there, get your sequences up and running, and start to reach out to people. Now, what do you actually say, right? Like, how do you do these? Yep, Simon's right. You can add that stuff to your resume if you're actually using the tools, right? You can say, hey, I have experience with Apollo. It's not formal SDR experience, but I know how to use the tool. What do you say on LinkedIn? What do you say in emails? What do you say in text? How do you do all of this? My best advice here is keep it simple and keep it straightforward. So many people get into oh, I have to personalize emails to try to get the managers to open them. And what do I say? And ChatGPT and AI. And it's like, no, just be very simple. Hey, Jim, saw the open SDR role over there. Wanted to show you I'm not afraid to do the job to get the job. Here's an email expressing my interests. I think I'd be a great fit. Would love the opportunity to interview. Yep. Yes. Keep it simple, stupid. That's like one of my life mottos because I can be pretty stupid. So keep your outreach simple. Text messages, same thing. Calls, same thing. If you pick up, a manager picks up on the phone, guys, just tell them why you're calling because you applied and you wanted to show them you're doing the job to get the job and you want to land an interview with them. Pretty simple. The titles you're going to be targeting in your sequences when you're doing these like Apollo, Lemlist data tools, you're going to be looking for recruiters, SDR, BDR managers, and SDR, BDRs. So recruiters and the managers are going to go into your sequence. That's who you're saying like, hey, wanted to express my interest, wanted to show you I'm doing the job to get the job, blah, blah, blah. They are actually going into the sequence. Now you can make a separate sequence for SDRs and BDRs where you're basically saying, hey guys, I applied for the open role over there. Do you know who I can get in touch with? And any SDR, BDR that has half of a heart, they're going to want to help you because they were in that position as well. And so they'll say, hey, yeah, you need to get in touch with, Steve, he's my manager, or Stacy, she's my manager. And now you know for a fact who to reach out to. So leverage those connections and leverage the reps at the company as well. Couple quick questions here. Do you recommend hiring managers? Yes. When I say hiring manager, that's what I mean. So a recruiter is a recruiter. A hiring manager is the manager responsible for hiring for the role, AKA SDR, BDR leader. Should we apply first though? Yes. That's a good point, Neil. Totally up to you. Could you go for the referral potential first? You can, but I think it just slows you down. So I always encourage apply first. Let that be a good problem to have later. All right. I want to show you a live breakdown of, SDR leads I would treat as hiring managers. That's a great question. Treat the SDR leads as hiring managers because even though they aren't the manager, they are looked at as an authority on the team and their opinion does carry weight. So if you can impress them, they're going to be willing to introduce you to their boss. Live breakdown. Here we go. So you guys, contact them on LinkedIn for sure. This is the job I posted. You guys saw 387 applicants. Here's what actually happened though, for me as a hiring manager. Wait, where's my, here we go. Out of the 387 people that applied, 68 people hit me up on LinkedIn. That's 18% of the population. So that means 82% of the population didn't bother to reach out to me. Are they getting interviews? Heck no. I have 68 people already that are more qualified than the 82% that didn't reach out. So I'm going to start here. But while this is good, you reached out on LinkedIn, yay. Problem is there's 67 other people that did the same thing. So you're not that different. There's only one person here who sent a video, one person here who sent a voice memo. All the rest of these are literally the same. I don't have time, guys. I'm managing a team. I've got my own life. I don't have time to do 68 LinkedIn DMs and set up interviews and stuff. So as a hiring manager, I know my best sales rep is going to know how to multi-thread. They're not just going to rely on one form of outbound and cross their fingers to get an interview and say, I put in more effort. I deserve this interview. No. I'm looking for people to really earn the interview. So I got 13 emails. That was the next thing that happened. In one hand, that's good. Only 3% of the population, 3% sent me an email. But that's 13 emails. I've got like 30 emails in my inbox. And email works, don't get me wrong, but it's just like not the most reliable strategy, especially when all these emails look the same, with the exception of this one guy who sent a video. All these literally look the same. I. It's just like, this isn't really going to the level of like getting my attention, right? So the next thing that happened was I got 10 text messages. Now this was dope because if you're texting me, it tells me two things. One, you knew where to find my number, so you're competent. Two, you were bold enough to try a kind of an unorthodox channel And I love that because it shows me how scrappy you are. And I do this with my clients and we get great responses. Once in a while, we hit a sour apple and they're like, why are you texting me on my personal line? It's always a recruiter. It's never the sales managers. The sales managers love this stuff. The recruiters are like, stop DMing me and stuff. It's like, bro, you want a good sales rep. I'm doing the job. So that being said, we've got to send text messages as well. For a full-time cold calling role, I was shocked that I got 9 cold calls, 387 applicants. 9 people cold called me. 7 of them left voicemails, 2% of the population. We have to drop cold calls. This is one of the most effective things you can do when you're doing the job to get the job because no one else is doing it. Some of you right now are kind of like, I would rather just go on LinkedIn and send some good emails. Like, I know that. I know these thoughts that you're having right now. Pick up the freaking phone, start doing the job, go for it. Yeah, Sam, that's called being an SDR. Proud of you. Good job picking up the phone. You've cold called, you've left voicemails, 0 responses. Welcome to being an SDR. You're going to make 60 calls a day. You're going to get into 3 to 4 combos a day, and you're going to have to try to book a meeting with one of those 4 people. That's being an SDR. And that's why learning how to do this and getting into the right mindset back to believe, you've got to believe you can do this. And this is where you prove it. Last thing, videos and voice memos. 3 videos total, 0.7%, and 1 voice memo, 0.3%. Send videos, send voice memos, be different. Spark our curiosity. All right. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I don't blame you. It's a lot. I get that. This is a lot. But this is the life of an SDR. You have to use your tools. The tools make it easy. You have to get into this mindset of do the job to get the job. Kind of leaning on, my background with faith here. Jesus says, if you make a tree good, its fruit will be good. So what he's saying is if you do the right inputs, the outputs will be good and you reap what you sow, right? So if you are consistent doing the job to get the job, if you're planting good seeds, you will find good fruit. This is what it takes. This is a client. This was literally earlier this week. Might have been last week. I don't know. It's within the past few days. He slacked me. He said, hey, I just called and texted her a few minutes ago. I left a voicemail. Then I got this email shortly after, and it was an invite to interview. This happens every single day in my program because this is what it takes to land interviews. So if you're right now kind of freaked out and you're like, hey, I don't know, this is way harder than I thought it would be, you might want to reevaluate if sales is for you because this is what it takes. It's hard. The highs are highs. The money's great. The lifestyle's great, but it's hard. And there's a reason why a lot of people don't do sales, and that's okay. There's a lot of other sales paths out there. Now, if you want to keep track of the jobs you're applying to, you're more than welcome to. Simple spreadsheet, company. You don't even have to add the link of where you applied. When did you apply? Who is the hiring manager you targeted? Who are the SDRs you're trying to get in touch with? And what's the status? Any notes there? So on and so forth. Interview stage, interview date. So if you want, you can keep a simple CSV. At the same time, back to Apollo and Lemlist, you can also just look at their reporting to see what companies have I put into the system. Then you'll know where you've applied. Because before you know it, you're going to start landing interviews. Let's go. I'm telling you, this stuff works if you actually do it. And any questions coming in? I see a few stacking up. Let's save them. I'm almost there. And we'll give you guys some time to ask some questions. So now that we're landing interviews, all we need to do is execute. Okay? Giving you some insight. This is how SDR interviews typically work. It's usually 3 to 5 stages. First stage, recruiter. They're just making sure you're not a crazy person. They're making sure you understand how the role works and what it is. And if you're, an effective communicator, if you present well, and if you have a decent background, they're typically going to move you forward. The next stage will be the manager. This will be the person that you're going to report to if you were hired. Then a few different things happen. Sometimes companies just go right to the leader. That's going to be like a VP of sales, head of sales, director of sales, CMO. Just depends on the size of the company. But this is where they're trying to intimidate the crap out of you to see if you can handle pressure. That's really what this interview is. And I've been there so many times, and it is scary going into leadership interviews, but cool, calm, collected, you'll be fine. Now, sometimes to vet and weed people out, they will give you an assignment. Assignment could be cold email, we want you to act like you're prospecting this company, send a cold email. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Or a mock call. Hey, we want you to be in this scenario and act like, you're an inbound SDR and we want you to try to book the meeting, whatever. So you'll have to do an assignment. If you make it through that, sometimes they'll send you right to the leader, depending on how long their cycle is, or you'll go to a peer interview. The peer interview is going to be with like other SDRs at the company. They're there to make sure you're a good culture fit, that they want to work with you. Or it's going to be with like an account executive, someone who might actually work with you as an SDR, and they want to know who we're bringing onto the team to make sure they're a good fit. So your interview cycles will look different. All of these are different though, and you need to treat them different. Okay. Now that's a little too detailed for the time we have on like how exactly to manage each of these processes. But if you go back to my free guide, here, let me grab it in the chat one more time. I have a whole module on like interview prep and how you need to interview. So that will hit that a little more there. Remember that CSV, this is where we're going to keep track of all our interviews. Interview stage, when is it? And that's going to help you stay on top of everything. Now, there are 3 phases to interview prep. So it's not just the interview and that's it. That's the thing. No, there's 3 components to prepping for interviews. Before the interview, during the interview, after the interview. And you need to make sure you're following through on all of them. So before the interview, you have to research your interviewer. Show them you know them, right? So this is like, the easiest way to think about this is an icebreaker. Do you have an icebreaker for when you jump on that call? Because if you jump on that call and you go, CSV, what I'm referring to is a spreadsheet right here, CSV, yeah. So when you jump on that call with the interviewer, if you go right into business, you have built 0 human connection and therefore you have 0 trust. You're just one more interview for this person. And by the way, when I'm interviewing for roles, my calendar is packed with like 4 or 5 interviews a day. And so I'm just going person to person to person. It's your job to be the SDR, to build rapport with me, to connect emotionally with me first before we get into business. This is simple. Go to a LinkedIn profile. Are they from the same area? Do you have family where they're from? Did they go to the same college? Is there any connection there? If not, that's okay. What's the next thing? The next thing is look at their resume. Is there anything cool there? Is there anything interesting? Like, did they work at a pizza shop and you worked at a pizza shop? Like, hey, it's really cool to see you came from like very humble beginnings, pizza shop to VP of sales or SDR manager. I'm coming from a pizza shop too, right? Like, just be a human being. Find an icebreaker that you can hook into. Next thing is prepare your questions. Be different. Every single interview, when people have bad questions, sound the same. It's literally like, yeah, here are my questions. What's the culture like over there? What are the top performers doing? And when am I going to get promoted? And it's like, dude, those are terrible questions. One of the easiest ways for me to find out if an SDR is going to be a good hire or not is actually during the interview, I would use the entire time to have them ask questions. So I'd be like, yo, great to meet you. Really looking forward to this time. I actually want to put this on your side and be a resource to you. What questions do you have for me about the company, about the role? And you see people sweat because they're not ready to hold a conversation. And so if you're rolling up to your interviews with like 3 questions, bad idea. Because 1, everyone else is asking the same 3 questions. And 2, if they put you on the spot, you're not going to have any good questions to ask after you run out of those. And that's a bad sign because when you're cold calling, I need to know that you can conversate, that you can flow, and you can improvise truly. So how do you come up with better questions? AI is actually really helpful for this. Plug the company into AI, tell AI you're applying for this job, you have an interview coming up, blah, blah, blah. And you help me, AI, come up with 7 unique questions about the company and about the role that will help me impress the manager. That's it. It's going to give you better questions than you rolled in with. All right. I know we're in list view right now. I know this is a lot. So lock back in. Let's go. Come on. We're almost there. Research the company. Come prepared. You need to know when they were founded. You need to know what they do, like persona. Who do they sell to? Pain. Why would that persona need a solution? Solution. How do they solve? And then I like to tell my clients to come prepared with a customer success story as well. What's a real world example of how this company helps people? So you need to come in with that research. You need to know who the CEO is. You need to know who the CRO is. You need to know these things to easily stand out and show that you did the research. Guys, this is very easy. This is another AI prompt. This is like ChatGPT or Grok deep search. Build out a template that says, can you give me all this info for this company? Insert the company website, and an AI will do its thing. It'll say, yep, they were founded in 2015. The leader is Gary Jones. The sales leader is so-and-so. And they sell to this persona, because they have this issue and they help with this. And here is a case study from their website. Pretty easy to do. Dress professionally. Men, you need to wear suits. Women, you need to wear the female equivalent of suits. I don't know if an eloquent way to say that, but look professional. Just had a person today, one of my clients, overdressed for an interview. He shows up, suit, tie, everything. The interviewer was wearing just a t-shirt, and the interviewer was like, you didn't have to wear a suit and tie. I'm glad you did. And that's because it shows you care. So be professional, show up like you freaking mean business, because pre-COVID, when we're going into offices to interview, what are you wearing? You're wearing suit and tie. Why do we change the standard because we're sitting at home interviewing from our couch? Like, let's hold the bar of excellence high. Last thing, make sure your quality is really high for your background and your camera. 2 reasons. One is we do everything virtually, especially for remote roles. If you don't know how to have a professional remote setup, I already doubt your technical ability. Like if your camera's all smudgy and your background's disheveled and you just look like a hot mess, I don't trust you to work remote for me. You need to be dialed. And a lot of you have good backgrounds, it looks like very clean. Just pay attention to that while you're interviewing. iPhone, if you've got an iPhone, they have a feature called Continuity Camera. It flips your iPhone to a nice webcam very easily. Background blur, great question, about to hit this. So the second most important thing about your setup is your background, because if your background is cluttered, what does that tell me about you as a person? I only have this couple inches into your world of who you are as a human being. All I can see is what's in front of me. And if you got papers stacked up and your couch has a sweatshirt and a towel on it and whatever, I'm like, man, this person's a hot mess. And you might not be, but if you weren't, your room would be clean. So make sure you've got a very professional background. Make sure there's no like lighting issues or anything like that. Like, be professional. Background blur. I don't like background blur because to me, it shows you're hiding who you are. You're hiding your environment. Again, this is about building trust as fast as we can. And now look, my background's blurred a bit. So I don't mean like that kind of blur, like that's fine. That's like portrait mode blur. But when you're blurring your background or you have a virtual background, red flag. I'm like, why are you hiding? Like, show me your environment. Show me who you are so I can build some trust with you. All right. During the interview, confidence is more important than preparation. What I mean by this is if you forget something about the company, if you mess up on a script, or if you screw up while responding to a question, do not freeze and go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I need to restart this. Can we please try that again? Because that is a red flag. You as an SDR need to learn how to improvise. You need to learn how to be cool, calm, collected, whatever happens to you. Got to be quick on your feet. So I'd much rather have a rep who's confident even if they mess up, rather than a rep who's going to freeze up and be like, oh no, crap, over analyzing myself and I screwed up and got to start over. I can't teach you how to be confident. I can teach you all the sales stuff. I can't teach you how to be confident. So I need you to be confident. We're almost there. Have a strong why. Make it personal. Look, a lot of people are afraid to be real during interviews and to be humans because it's corporate and it's scary and it's very serious. But in sales especially, I need to know why you're signing up for a job that has a like 5% success rate on most days. And what I mean by that is like 60 dials, maybe you book one meeting, that's like 5%. You have to be a different kind of person to want to get into sales. And if you don't tell me your why and make that very clear and very strong, then I am going to wonder if you have the guts to push through the hard days. So your why shouldn't be, oh, I want to make a lot of money. That's like too surface level. Why do you want to make a lot of money? Because I don't want my family to worry about finances. Let's go one deeper. Why don't you want your family to worry about finances? Because growing up, I had it really rough, and I don't want my family to ever feel like how I did as a kid growing up. Boom. I know you're going to work hard for me because that's real. That is a person that's going to show up with conviction. That's a person who's going to push through the bad days. That person who just wants to make a lot of money in tech sales, good luck, buddy, because it's a hard job. So have a strong why. Feel free to get real during that. Answer with evidence. We talked about this earlier, but when you're responding to questions during an interview, you never want to just let something fall flat where they say something and you don't peel the onion around it. And so whenever they're asking you stuff, don't just give them a fluffy answer of like, example, how do you handle failure, Jack? Yeah, I'm really good at handling failure. I'm fine with failure. I think it's great. I think it's necessary. Failure doesn't scare me at all. That's a terrible answer because all you did was tell me something. You didn't show it to me. So very simple framework to help you with interview responses. It's called perspective, proof, plan. Some of you have heard of the STAR format. And the reason people use the STAR format in interviews is because they want specifics: situation, task, action, result. They want to see proof and evidence that your answers aren't just the right answers, but that you actually live this stuff out, okay? So the 3P framework, perspective, proof, plan, is a simplified STAR. And it's basically like, yeah, so first off, my perspective on failure is that it's a necessary part of growth and development. I've failed a lot in life, and honestly, the most growth I've had is because of failure. Perspective. Proof. A specific example of failure in my life is XYZ. Be specific with it. Plan. So in light of that failure, how I plan on approaching failure as an SDR at your company is, first of all, I know I'm going to fail. Like that's part of the job. It's just the number of sales, the math of sales. But you know, given my experience with failure, I know I'm not going to give up because I've been through this stuff. So now you're helping them see yourself in that role. You're not just giving them the answer they want to hear. You're giving them proof, and then you're future pacing yourself as the candidate who's going to deliver on what you just said. Engage with curiosity. Red flag. One of the red flags is when you ask me a question, right? And you're like, hey, Jack, like, what are your top reps doing to be so successful? And I give you this nice answer and you just move on to the next question. You have no curiosity. I have no confidence in you on the phones at that point. So what I need you to do is engage with my answer and say, oh, wow, so you said your top reps are super organized. What kind of organization tools do you guys use over there? Oh, yeah, we use like, I don't know, Google Calendar. Oh, cool. I'm a big Google Calendar guy myself. Like my whole life runs on Google Calendar. Appreciate the answer. Ask the next question. So do not hit these dead ends where you just move on to the next thing. Because in a cold call, if I tell you, yeah, we're using XYZ competitor, and you move on to your next discovery question, and you don't unpack that, then you're never going to get all the context you needed to get me interested enough in a meeting. So engage with curiosity. Don't just let them say something back to you and you move on. Make sure you're asking sub questions, follow-up questions, and you're playing a back and forth combo rather than a monologue. All right, close. Ask for feedback at the end. Big red flag as well is when I get to the end of an interview, I like the candidate, and we get to the end and it's like, hey, do you have any more questions for me? Nope, thank you. I appreciate the time, the opportunity. Thanks so much. Bye. That's a red flag because I need you to be bold and I need you to close me just like you would if you were actually doing the job. The other thing I hear is like, no, if you could just let me know like what the next steps of the interview are. That's such a weak close. Don't do that. The way to close is simple. It's at the end of the interview. It's, hey, really appreciate the opportunity to talk today. Really excited about what you guys are building over there at company. Look, I'm an open, honest feedback kind of person. You're not going to hurt my feelings at all. I learn from blunt feedback. So I'd like to ask you, based on our conversation today and based on your review of my resume, is there any reason why I wouldn't have your recommendation to move forward to the next round? If so, I'd love the opportunity to talk about that while we're face to face here. You must close every single interview you do, because the best thing that happens is they tell you right then and there, you're moving forward. They love the close. I've had people smile when they get asked that. Like, I love that you asked that. Thank you. Me as the manager, I get fired up. So we need the close. The worst thing that happens is you find out transparent feedback of why they're not moving you forward. Now you're not stuck in freaking application deja vu every day of your life for 6 months, wondering why you're not getting into tech sales. It's because you never asked for the feedback. And it might be something like, hey, I appreciate you asking that. I am going to use this as an opportunity to give you some honest feedback. Here's what I need you to do better, blah, blah, blah. Now you actually know what you need to do better. And it's honestly way better than getting like ghosted for 2 weeks about a follow-up interview that's never going to happen. Okay. All right. We're almost there, y'all. So after the interview, you need to send personalized thank you notes. Red flag if I don't get a thank you note after an interview. Why? Because if you're an SDR, you need to be following up with your prospects. Any warm deals you have, you've got to follow up. So you're demonstrating that follow-up, and you need to make it personalized. I'd pull out something specific they said, like, hey, when you talked about XYZ being a challenge for the SDR program this upcoming year, that actually really got me fired up and motivated. And, I'm ready to help with that mission. Be specific. Pull out something that mattered to you during the combo. And then go apply for more jobs. Back to the math of sales. It's a numbers game. Go apply for more jobs. Don't sit there saying, okay, I'm going to move to the next round. I'm just going to chill. No, you're hurting yourself. You need to keep the pipeline moving. All right, guys, we did it. So how many of you are going to go start working on this immediately? Say me in the chat. Me in the chat. If you are going to start implementing some of this stuff right away, say me. And, or if you're feeling like the dude with the fire hose in his face, say fire, 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 fire in the chat. If you feel like this is a lot and it's intense and it's, it's a lot. Say fire in the chat. Interesting. Okay, good. I like it. We've got some go-getters here. Fire and water. I love it. There, that's honest. I like it. Very cool. Okay. So I've got some reassurance for you, actually. Jeremy, are you here? Is my man Jeremy here?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Hey, Jeremy Osalvo in the house. Okay, let me do the proper intro here, man. So, guys, Jeremy is an SDR over at Deal, friggin' crushing it over here. And as you can see, he is here live to talk to you, to encourage you. You got the Deal shirt and everything, man. I love it.
Yes, I do. Got the Deal swag.
Let me go ahead and pin you for everyone. Pin this tile and pin for everyone. All right, so we're pinned up here. So Jeremy landed 102K fully remote role with no sales experience, and he did it in just 48 days. So Jeremy is where a lot of you want to be. And what he's doing over at Deal is pretty incredible. Jeremy, I'm just going to brag on you for a second. Right away, he started breaking records at Deal, like within the first few weeks of him being there. And Jeremy's a humble guy, but he works his butt off. And so I just want to kind of open the mic up to him and ask him a few questions in front of you guys about what getting into tech sales was like. So Jeremy, first of all, say hello.
Hey guys, how are you today? Thank you for having me on here, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, man. Thanks for being here. It's huge. So I've got 4 questions for you, Jeremy. First question, what was the hardest part of you trying to get into tech sales?
Yeah, no, appreciate the question, Jack. You briefly touched on it. I had actually no direct sales experience. So I think the hardest part was actually getting noticed, right? I came from a non-traditional background. I'm sure a lot of you here don't have any sales experience as well. And if you do, well, you're one step ahead of me when I was joining in. But I came from like finance, banking, even like a little bartending work. So like I said, I didn't have cold calling experience whatsoever. So I always felt like I was trying to like prove I could do the job before I even got a chance to interview. So it was pretty discouraging. And you guys probably fall under this umbrella too of getting ghosted or hearing we're going with someone with more experience, when all I really needed was a foot in the door. So I decided to lean in to what made me different. And I embraced my story. Jack actually touched on your why, right? My why was a big thing, right? Like I don't need to touch on it crazy right now, but I was raised by a single mother. I was hustling since I was a kid, and I always knew how to connect with people. So that resilience in my story became my edge when I talked to a lot of these recruiters and these interviewers.
It's massive, massive. So not even a sales background at all for you.
Mhm.
What was it like working with me one-on-one, and why do you think we were so effective in the job search?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think working with Jack immediately game changer. His program doesn't give generic advice, right? He actually pulled the best out of me. Like I said, we became, crystal clear on what my why was. And then we practiced the outreach strategies that he was speaking about during this little webinar, right? And on top of it, he held me accountable. It felt like I had a coach in my corner who, actually truly believed in me before I fully believed in myself. But we were effective because it wasn't just like theory. Like you weren't taking some course and answering questions. And no, Jack was helping you put all these things into actions, right? We did mock cold calls. We sent cold emails. We made content, right? I was sending about like 10 video messages a day. Jack helped me move with intention. So I wasn't just applying. I was actually, positioning myself as a top candidate at every role I applied at. But yeah.
It's good. It's huge. So what advice would you give to this audience? I mean, they're having trouble breaking into tech sales, some of them, and some of them haven't even started, probably because it's intimidating. So what advice would you give?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. A lot of you guys probably here as well, just like me, I'm a perfectionist. So I had to learn how to focus less on being perfect and more on just being consistent, like relentlessly consistent. No one, even when you get the role, no one expects you to be a fully polished SDR on day one, but if you're coachable, you're hungry, and you're putting in the reps, whether that's through your cold outreach every day, like you're going to wake up and you're going to get rejected by, your top job that you wanted to get the job at. But if you decide that day, I'm going to now send in 10 more video messages to these recruiters, that's that relentless consistency that's going to get you that job, as well as building your brand on LinkedIn. I started posting a lot and networking on LinkedIn as well. I was taking virtual coffee chats damn near every day. I was meeting people all over the world. People will take notice. And I think the last thing is don't ask just for jobs when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Offer value. I landed my role at Deal because I sent a pitch video to a hiring manager that stood out among thousands of applicants. I didn't wait to be picked. I made it impossible to ignore me. I reached out to every single, I think 3 out of 5 people on the current team that I'm on right now. So they actually talked about me in a team meeting before I even got the job. And it's funny, when I joined in, they talked about how they were all talking about me, how I reached out to every single one of them. So like, you have to be that relentless. Like, do you want this? Like, how bad do you want this? Right. So that's what it is.
I'm so proud of you, man. I've taught you well and you've implemented well. So I'm just so proud to hear the fruit. What do you think right now for when these hard workers eventually do land their SDR role? What do you think is contributing to your success now as an SDR that they can pick up on?
Yeah, I have 3 things. I think first is mindset. I had MBA dreams growing up. I wanted to make the MBA. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. So this is my MBA. This is me being in the league. This is me, like, sales is a sport to me now. So my mindset, this is like the beginning of my career. Every day is a chance to build something, whether that's skills, relationships, momentum. I treat every single day like a new opportunity to just to tackle it, with a happy mindset. Whether if I'm getting my teeth kicked in on a call, I just have to smile and dial. That's what they say. And then the second is my ability to connect with people, not treating prospects as leads, but seeing them as humans with problems I can solve. That genuine approach translates on the phone, and you become more trustworthy, and they don't look at you as a sales guy on the phone trying to pitch them, right? They get those guys every single hour. If you come off as a friend and you're on the phone talking like this is just a homie, they're going to be more open and more trustworthy to at least listen to what you have to offer. And then the last thing is stay coachable, guys, right? I study top reps. I take feedback seriously, and I always ask for help. I'm still early in the game. I'm only 5 months in. So I try to stay as humble as I can, but really hungry as well. So those are my three: mindset, connecting, and being very coachable.
Massive. Well, Jeremy, dude, congrats on the success at Deal. Seriously, it's like a dream company for a lot of people. You're doing it. So I'm proud of you, man. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today, brother. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, guys. So look, we're going to wrap this thing up. I do have a question for you, though. And that question is, what if you could land an 80 to 90K tech sales role in just 38 days? That's the question. That's actually why I created Sword, y'all. I mean, you know my background. You know where I come from. You know how my life radically changed from a jail cell to clearing $194,000 on a W-2. I want to help other people do that because I'm unworthy to be here. I belong in a jail cell. Apart from the grace of God and really good people coming into my life helping me out, I wouldn't be here. And so I want to help other people. That's why I do what I do now. That's what Sword's for. So again, I've helped over 200 plus people launch tech sales careers, all kinds of backgrounds, no experience, no degrees, and no time. When I say no time, what I mean is a lot of people think they're too busy for a full-on job search. But actually, Chris Morass, he's here, somewhere on here. I'll find him. He has 2 kids here, right here. This guy, 90K tech sales job, 21 days, 2 kids, a wife, working a full-time job, and he was able to get a job in 21 days. Whenever I hear people say they don't have time for a job search, I always think of Chris because I know how hard this guy grinded and how hard he fought for it. So doesn't matter if you don't have experience. Doesn't matter if you have a college degree. And it's okay if you feel like you don't have time. What I do is I work with you one-on-one to prepare your profile. We go through everything together, your resume, your LinkedIn. I put you through the fundamentals of tech sales training so that you know the language as you're talking to these companies. Otherwise, you just look like an outsider. You don't know what's going on. The second thing is I teach you how to do the job to get the job. So all the stuff we looked at, like emails, LinkedIn, texts, what do you say? How many times do you call? How many times do you reach out? What if they say this? All of that I've done for you. I've set it up for you. It's all in a system, step by step. All you need to do is follow the process, and I'm there with you hand in hand to coach you through it. I teach you how to cold call, teach you how to prospect, teach you how to use Apollo, teach you how to use LinkedIn. I teach you everything. So you're learning how to do the job to get the job. This is what actually lands you 10 plus interviews a week. Because again, when we do the job to get the job, we are undeniable. Like Jeremy said, it's impossible for them to ignore us at that point. But if you've never done this stuff, it can be a lot. So anyone that's played T-ball, like baseball, but with the little T, the way I explain it is I've put everything on the tee for you. You're swinging the bat. You're putting in the work. It's hard work, but there's no guessing. And what this helps you do is it helps you keep the job. Because if you're going in and you barely got an SDR job and you don't have the skills to maintain it, I mean, you feel just imposter syndrome. And so my clients, because I've taught them how to be SDRs and I treat them like SDRs, when they get into their jobs, they're breaking records like Jeremy. The last thing I do is I work with you through every single interview you have, every step of the way, any assignments they give you, mock calls, cold emails. I've done them all already. I literally have templates ready to go. I coach you through every interview question they're going to ask you, help you come up with the right answers of how to approach those interviews and how to respond to people effectively and how to always move forward. I know everything they're going to do because I've lived it for years. And so what I do is I help you get into tech sales from start to finish. Everything you do with me, y'all, is one-on-one. This isn't like group coaching or assistant coaches, or I don't ever hear from my coach. I have so many people on my LinkedIn profile, on my YouTube channel. These are real people. Y'all can go hit up to ask them about their experience in Sword. This is one-on-one. And I take this seriously because this is your future. This is your job. This is your career. This matters to me too. And so I'm fully invested and involved in your growth and development. And I work with you till you land a job you're happy with. So all that to say, we've got Jack here. Like, again, these are real people, y'all. Jack, you can go find him on LinkedIn right now and DM him and ask him like, yo, is Jack Knight Sword? Is it full of crap or is it like legit? Roosevelt, this guy, he put in over 1,000 applications. He had signed up for 2 different tech sales courses. One was higher levels. and the other one was Course Careers, trying to get into tech sales for, I think, over 2 years. He was trying to get into tech sales. No luck. And then he signed up with me, worked with him one-on-one. We got him from corporate accounting into an 85K fully remote tech sales role within just a matter of weeks. So look, y'all, this is what I do. I'm a professional at it. If you're willing to show up and work hard, I know I can help you. And so if you could land an 80 to 90K tech sales role in just 38 days, how would your life change? What would actually happen? And one more thing, I just want to say thank you guys for waiting until the end here. I want to throw this in. If we do decide to work with you and you don't land a job in 90 days, I will return your investment. That's how confident I am in what I do. I know what I do works. And that's why I know that if you show up, if you put in the work, if you follow through, you will be successful. And so what I want to do just for this audience right here is offer that 90-day, if we work together and you don't land a job you're happy with, we return your investment. So that being said, for those of you that are kind of curious about this, like speeding the process up, like Alejandro's asking right here, I've opened up my calendar for next week. My team is available. We've got, I think it's 15 slots across the week. And that's that link I just put in the Google chat right there. So if you're interested to see if we can help you, go ahead and grab a time with my team there. We will talk through your background, see if this is something you actually want to do. We'll talk about what the time requirement is, the financial requirement is. We'll talk about if it's a good fit. Here's the thing, guys. I do everything one-on-one, so I really can't work with everyone at the same time. Think about it. If I brought 15 of you in at the same time, like, I'm not going to be able to service you guys. There's no group coaching. There's no assistant coaches. You work with me, and I already have clients. So I don't even know how many I'm going to be taking, but I do have some openings to at least meet with you next week to see if this is a good fit for both of us. And if we do determine we're a good fit for each other, I'd love to help some of you make this transition. So that being said, we're at the end of the slideshow. I am going to hang out for around 15 minutes to open it up for any final questions or anything like that. But again, let me make sure you guys saw that booking link in there. I already see some notifications coming in. So 15 slots, I don't know what we're at now. So make sure you jump in there and fill that thing out if you're interested in learning more about sword coaching. But all that being said, I'm going to open mic it. And if you need to roll out of here, no worries. But any questions, feel free to shoot.
Hey, John, can I ask a question?
Please do. Yeah, don't be a stranger. I know it's scary. A lot of scary faces here.
Yeah. I just say, I know you worked at Elastic as well as Clearbit.
Yep.
Those are more of a technical sale. For trying to get into those roles, do you recommend utilizing any sort of courses or any sort of just like, I know Databricks has your Gen AI kind of fundamentals course. Do you recommend doing any of those?
Good question. If you get into an interview cycle, I would talk to them about it during the interview cycle. I wouldn't just go get the certification beforehand. It's not going to matter. What matters is you getting in touch with the managers, the recruiters to land the interview. Once you land the interview, go deep on whatever free stuff like courses they have, certifications. You're not going to understand it because you're not a freaking developer, right? Or maybe you are, I don't know. But the point is you're showing them you're going above and beyond. So with Elastic, I didn't do anything technical. Like, I'm not a technical guy. But when I did interview with them, I stayed up till like 1 a.m. every single night in that interview cycle, watching videos about like, what is Elastic? Like, I don't understand this stuff. And it wasn't even that I mastered the content. It was more that they saw I was trying to put in the effort to research.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Open mic, y'all. Don't be afraid. Joseph, you said, okay, Sam, you first, and then Joseph had a question too.
First off, this is a great workshop. I'm happy I joined here. This was more of like, I might be in a little bit of a unique situation, but so I'm currently a BDR for a SaaS company. So I'm in the game.
In the
My
game
question is, how do you discuss, where you've put in the work, you're a strong team player, your manager knows this, he sees that, you're putting in the growth, the accountability, but the numbers aren't there. You know, it's the world of sales. You know, how do you communicate that? Or if you either aren't hitting the numbers, or if you get let go for performance, but you've done everything else. How do you discuss that? You know, when you're out there looking for another role.
Yeah. So one big important thing whenever you're talking about any role that you're leaving, because all of you are going to get asked, why are you deciding to switch careers or leave your job? You never want to talk negatively about the previous job, because what I hear is complainer. No complainers in sales, eternal optimists. You need to be an optimist for days. So rather than talk about what you're running away from and like, these are all the issues and this is what I'm looking for, focus on what you're running towards. Okay. So drop the negative language around like, yeah, like quotas weren't set right and the data wasn't there and blah, 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 blah. Drop any negative talk. Focus on what you're running towards. Look, I'm someone who's very ambitious. I'm very growth oriented. What I'm looking for is an environment where I'm going to be challenged and where I'm going to be surrounded by people better than I am. I feel like I've reached some sort of a growth cap in my current role, and I'm not done growing. And I know I just need to be in a more challenging environment to unlock that. It's more about what you want in your future than what you've dealt with in your past. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Sweet. Joseph, you were asking about like, is this all ET? What are you asking there?
Sorry, it was is this like Eastern time for the meeting schedule?
Yes. Yeah, that calendar link.
Okay.
It's I think that's a good question. I don't know if it auto updates to your time zone or not.
Okay.
It should sync to your time zone.
Yeah, it should
Okay,
sync. Thank you.
Okay, so whatever time I select on there will be the time that I'll show up at.
For you. That's right.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course. What other questions do we have?
I have a question, Jack.
Simon,
First
good
of all,
to see you, man. Yeah.
good to see you. Yeah, I had a small conversation with you yesterday. So just a quick, I don't want to take too much time. First of all, thank you for this. Really appreciate, first of all, you connecting and actually answering, because it's been a very frustrating journey. I currently work in New York Live, but it's commission based, which I feel like I was tricked in to accept it when I just came back from Europe. But I have experience like almost 6 years being a sales specialist, BDR. You know, I've been working in sales all my life. I'm Middle Eastern. I'm not scared to pick up the phone. I'm not scared to getting rejected until I hear a yes after 7 times. So I have the resilience. I have the drive. I had literally maybe 10 to 15 interviews with like big companies I landed, like tech companies like TLDR or Tropic or whatever. I always keep getting like, I already start passing the screening like this.
Yep.
For the beginning, it was difficult. Then second interview was easier, and I already started getting to the third interviews. But so far, I was not able to land an offer, and this is frustrating. And I keep sending an email before the interview, after the interview, asking for feedback.
Yeah.
You know, I'm constantly looking for this. This is what frustrates me. You know, like it's the when I'm gonna get an offer, because I'm in a pickle right now as is. You know, so that's my question is like, when is like, I'm not giving up, I'm very resilient, but like, where do you feel like you keep doing wrong? This is what I'm trying to understand. You know, I always pivot from feedback, but I can never understand where or what I'm doing wrong. Like the LinkedIn, yes, I can do better. The resume, I agree with you 100%. But how much can I keep going, you know, to stand out, which I want to do, but I don't even know how to ask the question. Like you can tell.
I totally hear you, man. I totally hear you. I also, I have this happen with my clients sometimes where like they're doing really well, they get really far, but then they just go with someone that has experience, or they go with someone else and they thought they had it in the bag. What it typically comes down to is honestly nothing you're doing wrong per se. It's just that someone else is doing something more right. Okay. So I want to encourage you that you're not doing anything wrong. Like congrats to you, man. You're getting there. You're knocking on heaven's door, but there's just someone out there, whoever they're going with, maybe they do have like formal B2B experience. They worked at a cool company. Maybe that's out of your control though. Right.
Yeah.
What is in your control is how can you go above and beyond? And I know you are, right? Not saying you're not, but how else can we go above and beyond? Hit me up on LinkedIn or wherever we connected. I'm going to drop you a resource that I think is actually going to help you. And what I mean by like going above and beyond, it's a little bit of secret sauce. So I don't want to fully expose, but basically guys, if you're here listening, I do want to help you. There's this concept of like, sending in these snapshots of who you are and the work you're doing in these final interviews. And so it's almost like if you were an SDR there, give them a simulation of you being an SDR there. Make a mock prospect assignment where even if they don't ask for an assignment, come up with like an example prospect of, hey, if I were an SDR at this company, I would target this person. Here's what I would say. Here's how I would handle these objections. Submit that as part of your final interview, even if they don't ask for it. And they're going to be like, okay, no one else did that. Simon's a hard worker. He's going above and beyond. Another tool y'all can use is Hyperbound AI. Hyperbound AI is like a mock cold call AI tool. It'll let you run these like mock cold call scenarios. Download Loom. Loom is free. Record your screen. Go do these mock cold calls on Hyperbound AI and send those recordings into the hiring team. And they're gonna be like, no one is doing this. That's amazing. He's showing us what he sounds like on the phones. Is that helpful?
Thank you, man. I'll schedule the meeting with you on June 4th anyway, so
Cool. Okay.
we can dive deeper. Thank you.
Joseph, is that question number 2? I saw that hand raised. Good. Okay.
Yeah, so I did have a question. So I don't know if you remember, my friend Brendan Moe worked with you.
Oh,
And,
yeah, Brendan. Brendan's breaking records too at his company now.
Sings your glowing praises, my friend. Just very, very excited about you. So anyways, it's interesting to me as I'm experiencing like going through a change, trying to figure out what I want to hone in on and do with life. I have wife, baby on the way. So my question is, and have you worked with people like, I feel like I'm like ADHD, like I've never been like diagnosed, but like structure is what like helps me to like get to like, have you worked with that before and seen like, if you had success with that? Is that something?
So the reason I'm so regimented is because I'm the same way. I would fall apart if I didn't have structure in my life.
Right.
100%. What I think is tough about being on the job search alone is there's no structure and there's no accountability. Therefore, there can be no consistency. And consistency, like Jeremy said, is the thing that leads to success in this. So if you're someone who like, you do need like these strict guardrails around you.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely stuff that I help with, where it's like, here's the system, like go show up to the tee every day and hit that ball off the tee. The tee doesn't move. The tee's the same thing, but I'm going to make sure you're doing it the right way and you're going every day. So 100%.
Okay, cool. I scheduled a meeting with you, so we can chat more later. So thank you for your time, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. Neil, you had a question. Or at least the hand was raised. I don't know if that was
Yeah, that was me. Sorry about that. Mike was off.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm in a bit of a weird situation. I've actually had exposure to the SDR world. I interned at Clarity, and I did like full cycle for a friend startup. But I guess like once I graduated college, kind of just sort of fell out of it. I worked like at a gym, just doing sales there, like trying to be a personal trainer. So I don't know. I guess like when I go interview sometimes now, there's sort of like, it's just a weird situation. Like, am I an entry level SDR? Am I an like end SDR? And like, I don't know. Sometimes they just seem kind of weirded out, and like, I just from there.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That's like I've worked with clients like that where it's like you've got a lot of experience, but like, how do we market you, right? How do you market yourself? So I would need to look at your specific scenario to make like a targeted recommendation. My advice though would be to commit to one or the other. Don't play the fence of like, I'm full cycle and I'm SDR. I'm going to apply to AE and SDR. I would just do full send on one or the other. Then make sure you're branding yourself accordingly. So instead of calling yourself account executive on your resume, say sales representative, right? So like if you're going SDR or if you're going AE, make your profile, your resume, everything, tailor it towards like full cycle, AE. Do you get what I'm saying there? Is that kind of helpful without like knowing the details?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say for most of the roles, like they want me to be an SDR just because, you don't really have too much experience outside of nature.
Yeah, it is. It's not impossible to get into AE. Like I've helped a few people do it, but if you don't have SaaS experience, it's way harder to get into SaaS as an AE off the outset. So I'd probably say like commit to SDR, full send, and title yourself appropriately, and you'll work your way to AE pretty quickly, I'm sure.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Angela had a question in the chat. Timeline you recommend for each messaging channel. Angela, do you want to ask it live?
Sure. I was curious about just the timeline that you had, like for reaching out on email, on LinkedIn, on text, because it's like I was curious about that line between somebody being like, "Oh my gosh, this lady like blew up all of the channels like that I have," or if it's, "Hey, speed is essence."
Yeah, it's a really important question. So this is kind of fun because you're getting to outbound someone who wants your outbound. Like when you're in sales, like no one wants to hear from you. Like stop cold calling me and stuff. But managers, we love it. So my recommendation to you would be blitz it hard on the first touch. So like call, text, LinkedIn, like get them to see you when you reach out, right? And that way you're going to make the most of the work you did. For example, if you do send a video, why would you wait to send that video like 3 days later on another channel? Just blitz it all at once, get them to see it. They're gonna be like, wow, good job. Like you caught my attention. That's what you needed to do to land the interview. Then in the follow-up, like don't be like every day blitz. That's annoying, right? We want to have some professional tact because we wouldn't treat a prospect like that. So it's a balance where like maybe give them 1 day to cool off and then reach out the next day on like 2 channels, right? And do a little follow-up. Hey, just making sure you saw this. It's okay to blitz. I love it when I see it. It's like, good, you know how to get my attention. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Just to like go into it and make sure that you're noticed. That seems better than to draw it out and kind of like try different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my recommendation on sequence structure would be like, go hard in the beginning because that's your highest likelihood to connect. And then taper the effort down as the time goes on. So for example, day 1, heavy effort, video, call, text, whatever. But like if they haven't responded to you after 2 follow-ups, why would you go send another video? Like they haven't. So just do a little automated email follow-up that says, hey, just circling back, making sure, blah, blah, blah. So taper your effort down as the time goes on.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Great question. Neil, you're asking about, was that the interview question there? Do you want me to tackle that one? You said the hesitations, the feedback at the end of the interview.
Yeah, sure. I was also going to ask just one final question on my end.
Yeah.
For me, I think that my camera, especially on Zoom, it's like really zoomed out. It just looks unprofessional. So I was going to ask you what camera you use personally.
Let me see. I'm pinning you. Hold on. Pin you for everyone. You're getting exposed.
It was fine on Google Meets, but on Zoom.
On Zoom. That's weird. I don't know the answer. I'm like a Google Meet guy. I use like a professional camera because this is like my life. So this is like a Canon R8, like it's $1,000 camera. Are you on Mac?
Yeah, so I'm on Mac, but this is like a webcam I bought.
Okay.
It's called a eMeet. It's 1080p.
Do you have an iPhone?
It's like $20 with hands on.
Do you have an iPhone?
I do, yeah.
Continuity camera. I'd probably just use that.
Okay, and I can use that on top of like my desktop.
Yeah, Google Continuity camera. If it might, I mean, this is a Mac desktop, not a laptop.
Yeah, so it's a Mac Mini. It's like a desktop, and I just have like a monitor on top.
I would Google it like Mac Mini continuity camera, see if it does it. I don't know if it does or doesn't, but I would try to use your iPhone. And then outside of that, yeah, maybe just order another webcam. I don't know.
Sure.
You look good here. So, Christine, then I'll come back to your other question, Neil. So should video outreach be customized 100%? Because us managers can smell laziness from like 10,000 miles away. So if you're just like copy pasting a video, I know what you're doing, right? So you don't need to be so complicated with your videos. Let me unpin you, Neil. Sorry, I've got you just like, here, unpin. You don't need to make your videos so complex. Short, sweet, maybe around a minute. And you can essentially use the same script for every video. The only variables you're changing are the manager's name, the company name, and maybe a little tailored reason of why the company is interesting to you. The rest of it though, your experience, your interest, your why, like your motivations, that's all the same for every video you take. Okay, back to Neil's question. So yeah, when you close the interview and you get that like vague answer, like, yeah, we're gonna get our notes back to the team and we'll get together and we'll let you know in a few days. The only way I've seen to get past that is to call it out in your close. So you can modify your closing script to be like, hey, I know you probably have to go get with the team after this and review notes. You probably have other candidates to review. But as far as our conversation goes, just you and I, taking all other feedback off the table, do I have your recommendation? Or you could modify it that way to try to get ahead of it. Usually when you get that vague answer, it's a coin flip of like, they have to say that because that's how they treat everyone and they can't give you that answer. So 50-50. The other 50 is like, you probably didn't do so well and they don't want to tell you and be honest with you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. And they think it's helping you by not hurting your feelings. I was savage as a manager. I'd be like, in love, like the Bible says to speak truth in love. So I would be very blunt, but like in love. But I would tell them like, hey, you're asking for feedback. Do you want my feedback? Here's where you drop the ball. This is why I'm not moving you forward. Go work on these things. Unfortunately, I think just recruiters and managers sometimes get they don't want to hurt feelings, so they're vague. All right, who else has a question? Oh yeah, Urvashi. What you got, Urvashi? Thanks for being here.
Hi. So I just wanted to ask that regarding the voice notes that we send on LinkedIn, or let's say if we are just calling someone and they pick up, we are hoping they don't pick up, but they pick up. So what to say? Because I've seen these videos on LinkedIn that people say like, don't directly just jump on your page. They'll probably hang up. So just like start with a joke opener or something that might make them feel interested in you. So what do you say?
Yeah, I think if you can find easily like a personalized opener, feel free to use that. But I usually think it's just a waste of time because it's like, do you want to spend 30 minutes on 2 voice memos that are personalized, or do you want to spend 30 minutes on 10 voice memos that are like good? What's going to increase the odds you get into interviews? The second. It's a numbers game. So voice memo script is very simple. Just like I said, with phones, with email, everything, just like, hey, my name's Urvashi. I applied to your open SDR role. Wanted to show you I'm not afraid to do the job to get the job. Put a face to a name or a voice to a name, and hopefully earn an interview on your calendar. Keep it short, sweet, simple. Because it's not even necessarily about what you say. It's the fact that you did it and you're different.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Who else? This is when we like slowly, awkwardly fizzle out together. People are like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Patrick, what you got?
Hey, thanks for doing all this with us. Quick question for you. So there's a lot of us probably that already have full-time jobs, and the idea of like interviewing while we're trying to do work or, doing a workaround. I don't want to take like 12 days off and have my manager be like, Patrick, what's going on? So I have like Fridays off during the summer. We have 4-day weeks during the summer.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody who's a hiring manager, like, is there any reason why you hate scheduling interviews on like a Friday? Or like, is that pretty chill usually?
Are you seeing that happen where they're like, oh, I can't do Friday type thing?
No, I haven't started applying anything
Okay.
yet, but I'm just like super curious, like if I could just, make Friday my hustle day.
Yeah. So this is tough. This is a reality I deal with clients where it's like they have demanding jobs. They can only put in 2 hours a day, and it's before a long work day and after a long work day. How do you interview? I have a guy who works at a factory and he's literally taking interviews on a tractor outside and from his phone. And like, that's what he has to do right now. So is it realistic to think that you're going to get all your interviews scheduled on Fridays? It's not, unfortunately. Now, that can be your grind, your hustle day of like doing the job and planting those seeds. But you will have to figure out in your work week, how am I going to pop out for a 30-minute interview? How can I make this work? Now, what gets easier is as you get further in the interview cycles, you can kind of start hedging your bets a little bit and being like, I might piss my manager off this week, but this is also like a final round interview. So like, am I willing to like roll the dice there? And there's kind of this natural tension that builds where it's like you're so close to getting the job, it kind of starts to make sense to cannibalize your current job to get there. I know that's not like encouraging or like, yay, but it's kind of the reality.
No, thanks for that. I needed to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Who else? Who else? Sherry, you have a question? Awesome. Pop off mute there for me.
Okay, there we go. Hey, thanks so much for offering these tidbits of golden nuggets
Yeah.
for us to get into tech sales. I am similar to what Simon was saying. He has the background in New York Life. I've been with Aflac combined, sold business to business, face to face, cold calls with State Farm, 100 calls a day.
Yeah.
Consistently. So cold calling, face to face, door knocking, things like that is something I really don't have a problem with, or I'm comfortable with. I think where I felt there was a roadblock was the SAS experience.
Yep.
So a lot of times I have a recruiting background of 30 years, so I know where you're coming from the recruiter side. And I do admit that, yes, when you ask for feedback or you send the personalized thank you card, those things are very important. But when you don't possess that one tidbit of information that a tech sales company really wants you to have, how do you obtain that or acquire that knowledge to move forward?
Yeah, it's like the chicken and the egg, right? It's like,
Yeah.
which one comes first? And you can't do one without the other.
Right.
Let me ask you, how many jobs have you applied to and how many interviews have you had? Ballpark.
For tech sales, no interviews. I've probably applied to maybe 10 or 20
Okay.
positions. Because a lot of times being a recruiter, I thoroughly read the job description, looking at the requirements. And I know a lot of times I've seen lately in job descriptions, so like if you don't possess everything, don't, please apply anyway, because we may give you an opportunity. I've seen that, which I thought was very interesting because a lot of times that has not been the case in my previous knowledge of being a recruiter history. But they never say, well, we don't want you to have SaaS. They want you to have that.
Right.
And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I obtain that knowledge to be very competitive in this marketplace?
Yeah, super fair. What the job description says does not matter. I've had so many clients that got jobs at companies where the job description said 2 years of experience and college degree required.
Right.
They didn't go to college. They didn't have 2 years of experience. They had parallel sales experience, maybe like you. So I would say gently, I think it's a limiting belief. And I think it's something you just have to do to see, like, I applied for that job anyway. I did the job to get the job, and voila, I have an interview coming up. And your actions are going to speak way louder than their words or your words of, you must have this, you must not have this. Because how many people cold called them for an interview? Probably maybe 2 or 3 other people. You're one of them. And so while you lack the experience, you're showing them more than any other candidate they have that you have the guts to get out there and do it. And so for you, Sherry, I'd say put that limiting belief to the side. Stop reading job descriptions and letting that be a blocker.
Okay.
Go for it. Pick up the phone. Do what you do best. Get on the phone. Send some videos. And you'll surprise yourself with like, oh, I landed an interview. Oh, they didn't mention, they're actually really happy that I did the outreach. We're not even talking about a lack of SaaS experience at this point.
Okay, great. And then also I did see a YouTube video about a gentleman that worked for Microsoft. He was an exec sales director, and he's moved to another company now, but he was on the YouTube video where they had a seminar or something, and so he purposely stood in the corner of the room, and it was probably 100 people there to learn about how to get into tech sales at Microsoft.
Wow.
And only 3 people approached him.
There you go. Yeah.
And he talked about that.
That
He
is
said,
exactly.
you're wanting to be in sales, but yet I know you guys saw me stand over there in the corner, and I purposely did it to see who would come talk to me.
Yep.
And I'm literally watching this video, Jack, losing my mind because I'm like, I would have been there in a minute.
There you go. Exactly.
Let me introduce myself to you. Da, 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 da. I'm interested in the job. Da, da, da. What do I need to learn? Here's my resume. He said only one young lady brought her resume, so we went over the resume. And she and I are going to converse, more later. But
Yeah.
only three people approached him, but
Yep.
they wanted to work at this company in sales. He said, "No, you all failed."
Yeah, I'll take you back to that example. My buddy Elijah, 2,000 applicants. I think 13 people emailed him. I think 6 people cold called him. It's the same thing. Yep.
So, okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Patrick.
One last kind of random question here from me. You mentioned earlier in interviews, the dudes have got to be wearing the suits. I actually used to work in suit sales. I sold custom suits for a while.
Nice.
And I've got like a bunch of like really colorful, like bright, loud pattern kind of numbers. Is there anything that like to you seems off when somebody comes into an interview with something like that? Or do you want somebody to be dressed conservative, traditional?
Yeah, I would say keep it simple because you're already overdoing it on purpose, but it's also like acceptable. But then if you like overdo it, it's like, all right, bro, like what are we doing here? Like, so I would keep it simple, like black blazer, white bottom, or just simple, clean, simple.
All right, I am putting the yellow suit away for interviews then.
There you go. Now, when you accept that offer and you jump on that call, we're bringing the yellow out, man. We're celebrating. So no,
Yeah, it looks real great. It's my favorite.
I love it. I love it. Sherry, you're off mute. Did you have a question?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? I think like half the crowd is note takers at this point. So I think we're wrapping up. Okay. All right, guys. Look, appreciate you. Here to help. And if you need anything, I'm all over the place. YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. You guys know where to find me. God bless y'all. And don't give up. It's so worth it. I'm proud of y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you. You
You
too.
too, Jack. Good night.
Congrats on the new babies.
Thank you.
Baby coming.